Anybody want to jump in the back?
On November 17th, President Joe Biden spoke at GM headquarters in Detroit, Michigan, where he made his first major speech touting electric vehicle funding since the signing of the $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill.
Bravo! With this infrastructure law, along with my Build Back Better plan, we're going to kickstart new batteries, materials, and parts production and recycling, boosting the manufacturing of clean vehicles with new loans and new tax credits, creating new purchase incentives for consumers to buy American-made, union-made clean vehicles.
As part of the president's promotion of electric vehicles, the bill also allots more than $7 billion for electric vehicle charging, including a multi-billion-dollar grant program for local governments to tap into. D.C. Representative Eleanor Holmes Norton has already expressed support for the grant program, urging the city to apply once it becomes available next year. Both politicians and local electric vehicle experts, like Michael Krauthammer, see the investment as a major win towards addressing pollution in the DMV region in the years ahead.
Currently, the transportation sector nationally is the largest contributor to bad air quality. It has overtaken the power sector. And the district, although it's a major city, is not a particularly industrial city. And so here, probably more than other comparable cities, transportation is a disproportionately large contributor to bad air quality. And so to the extent we can electrify vehicles in and around the district, it will provide great benefits.
But while an overhaul of the city's reliance on gas vehicles is being hailed as a great idea in theory, and now has financial support to boot, the logistics make the reality on the ground far more complicated. For one, local governments can only apply for a maximum grant amount of $15 million, with no guarantee that they'd receive anywhere close to that number. There's also 3 varying types of chargers that all range greatly in price and installation costs. The 3 types are Level 1 chargers, which are fitted in private homes, Level 2 chargers, which are typically found in garages or rest stops, and DC fast chargers, which are meant for long-distance trips. For a city like DC that would be looking to install Level 2 or DC fast chargers in public spaces, the total cost of purchase and installation could range anywhere from a few $1,000s to over $200,000 for a single charging port, according to experts. That's not to mention other considerations, including the price of switching from gas to electric vehicles and the competition for parking spaces that would be created throughout the city, especially in a city that's no stranger to congestion.
When people need to charge their car, they need to charge their car. You can't expect them to park like 6 blocks away from where they need to be just because that's where the charger happens to be. You do a little bit of a chicken and the egg situation because, of course, there's extremely limited on-street parking on the district. And so it can be extremely frustrating to non-EV drivers when there's a parking space that's empty, just because there doesn't happen to be an EV to park right there. The answer is probably to incentivize off-street charging at the moment. Another option is for the city to just make a policy where EVs will be subject to like preferential parking treatment, essentially. I mean, we're already seeing this in a lot of ways where DC and other cities are taking away parking in favor of bike lanes and outdoor dining. The city is just prioritizing that curb space differently.
That kind of change would be welcome news to local electric vehicle owners like Ron Kaltenbau, who serves as president of the Electric Vehicle Association's Greater Washington, D.C. chapter. The volunteer chapter works as an advocacy organization that pushes for electric vehicle legislation and teaches community members about EVs.
I've been an EV driver since 2012. Started out with a Nissan Leaf with 84 miles of range. Now my wife and I have 2 EVs. And in the early days, if I saw another EV, I was coming home at dinner and I was mentioning it to my wife and daughter. Guess what I saw? But now it's got to be something either very unique or some tremendous number.
From 2010 to 2020, the number of EVs sold in America rose from just over 1,000 to more than 230,000, which explains why they're far more common on the road today. But despite all the progress that's been made over the last few years in promoting electric vehicle use, Goldenbaugh added that a major hurdle he's encountered is convincing drivers to actually make the switch. Many, he said, are often skeptical until they try driving an EV for themselves.
I've talking to someone from actually Nissan in their management chain one time. They were stressing that the key for getting EV adoption is getting butts in seats, because you got to get people to experience the change. They think it's really radical. They think it's really different. But once they get in the seat and once they drive it, they realize that Yeah, there's a little bit of difference and a little bit thing you got to change how you do things, but it's so worth it because it's so much better.
Another area to consider is the impact that the switch to electric vehicles might have on low to moderate income communities in the city, who often bear the brunt of air pollution. In the text of the bill, there's also a requirement that grant applicants prioritize placing electric chargers in some of those low to moderate income areas. As it stands today, most of the city's public electric chargers sit in parking garages downtown. So part of the reason for that new requirement in the bill, Krauthammer says, is to incentivize the switch by medium and heavy-duty vehicles like buses and delivery trucks to electric.
Electrifying buses and trucks that spend a lot of time driving in low and moderate income communities can not only benefit the air quality for the whole city, but most importantly, it benefits the air in the communities where people are already suffering the most from the worst air pollution.
Asked if the city would apply for grant funds, and if so, how much, the Bowser administration has not returned multiple requests for comment. For Work in Progress, I'm Alec Rich.